my parents did enroll me in art school, summer program, when I was 7 years old. And just prior to that, we attended a PTA meeting, my parents and I, and my teacher had mentioned that I had shown unusual aptitude for art and that I was always preoccupied with it. And so that evening when we came home from the meeting, my father, who was a bit of an artist, he really didn't take it to any great degree, but he liked to dabble in it, and he did some cartooning when he was in the Navy. So he brought me over to the couch, and on the coffee table was a Mickey Mouse comic book, and he took a piece of paper and a pencil, and he just drew this thing out perfectly. And when I saw him do that, I instantly, it was like an epiphany for me, I guess, at that young age, where I realized that instead of just scribbling stuff off the end of my brain, I could actually look at something and copy it. And so when I did take the art school program in the summer, the students would go out into the neighborhood with a large pad of newsprint paper and a set of pastel chalks and just draw anything we felt like drawing from observation. And that's pretty much my earliest recollection of, really being connected with what I was doing rather than just dabbling in it. I can't remember ever wanting to be a fireman or a cowboy or a policeman, or I never really thought about anything other than being an artist. When I was very young, I didn't really put it into like a context for a job, although I knew what my dad did. But it was an easy decision. There was no guesswork about it. As I grew older and was more engaged with my artwork, it was just like a natural thing that's exactly what I was going to do with my life. I attended Wright State University when it was a very young school, the year that it was given an accreditation for a university back in 1968-69. And I attended that university because I lived just north of there at the time in Troy, Ohio. And I took some academic courses, but I took some art courses as well, art history, drawing, color theory, life drawing, I think I said. And so they were pretty much core classes, fundamental courses for me. And after a year of that, my parents were transferred up to Chicago. And I had already done my own research on other schools because I wanted to get into a total art school. I didn't want to take English, I didn't want to take math, I wanted a total program, and that pretty much meant going to an art academy. So I did some research and decided that I would like to try the American Academy of Art in Chicago. And so my father and I drove up there and looked at the school in the summertime. And I liked what I saw because I didn't really know anything else other than it was an art school that was, offering a pure curriculum in art. And so I enrolled there and lived at home, taking the train in every day. And I was there for 1 year. And it was right down the street from the Art Institute of Chicago, which was an amazing institution, still is. And I spent an awful lot of time just going to the museum and studying on my own. A majority of my lunch hours, I had classes on the weekends, so I would go on my lunch hours. I would stay after and just live in that environment because it had so much knowledge in it. And then I finished up my last 2 years at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts, which was a few blocks away from the American Academy, and I majored in animation because Walt Disney had graduated from there, and I figured if it was good enough for him, it was good enough for me. So I did major in animation, and graduated in the middle of the year because I worked really hard trying to get my education out of the way. So I graduated in the middle of the year at the end of February, beginning of March of '72, and went out and hired a headhunter and got my first job in a corporate in-house art department.